Archeage 2 is said to be launching in the second half of 2024, and we don't know much about it yet. But if a 2024 launch is reality, then we should start to find out a lot more information here pretty soon. That being said, this is similar to all the other everything known videos I've done for prior MMOs, where I collect all the information and sources into one spot, which will be linked on my website, and then I condense everything into as small of a video as I possibly can to get you up to speed as quickly as possible. For Archeage 2, all we have is one gameplay trailer, one official interview trailer with the lead developer Jake Song, and a few bits of information from Kakao earnings reports, and random translated interviews from rulyweb.com as sources for this video. The developer is the same as Archeage 1, XL Games, and the publisher is Kakao Games. They're using Unreal Engine 5, and the game so far looks fantastic in the one trailer we have seen. The plan is to release the game on both PC and console. The combat is action, and we did see a variety of weapons and active dodging during the short gameplay trailer. Jake Song, the lead developer of Archeage 1, is back to lead development of Archeage 2. The same person who wrote the story for Archeage 1 is also back to develop the story of Archeage 2. Archeage 2 shares the same world as Archeage 1, but it is a different part of the timeline in which the continent of Aurora was being populated. The storyline involved discovering and solving mysteries of an ancient civilization that have been forgotten about for thousands of years, leaving it to blend in with the natural environment. The story will be delivered differently from Archeage 1, with Archeage 2 story delivery being more about personal adventures, whereas Archeage 1, the story was more of a narrative storyline. Jake Song is considering separating the leveling and the story so players can experience the story separately from leveling. Archeage 2 was first announced in 2020, at which time they said they had 40 to 50 people on the team, and at the time they were said to be in the prototyping stage. XL Games received a big investment from Kakao Games, so the project is very well funded. They currently have over 100 people working on the MMO. They've said more info on the game will be released in 2024. The latest launch date projection is currently late 2024, which would be a very quick turnaround from the prototyping stage in 2020. But I think it is possible because they're aiming for a shorter launch window compared to Archeage 1 by having a smaller scope for Archeage 2. Archeage 1, for reference, took 7 years to develop. Archeage 2, they're aiming for about 4 years. Jake Song says that during the development of Archeage 1, they were greedy with the design and they tried to do too much. He says for Archeage 2, they do not want to have countless and quantitative features. Instead, they want density and completeness in their features. Jake Song also mentioned that the large power gap that existed between existing players and new players was a problem in Archeage 1. So my assumption is they might be looking at ways to improve that in Archeage 2. That being said, they still want to have the features that Archeage 1 players loved. They also want to have more connectivity between various game elements. For instance, they want trade and housing to be more closely linked. The following features from Archeage 1, which were well received by the players, are returning. These are housing, sea warfare, cars and ships with physics, and the trade pack system. They plan to improve housing by allowing players to build entire towns and allowing more customization of the buildings. It is not known if all the towns in the game will be player-made with this system or just some of the towns are player-made. They are also working on ways to reduce the housing shortage, which definitely existed in Archeage 1. The developers also want to improve the trade pack system. They want to allow players to do runs alone, in teams, or in raids. They want to make the trade system central content that leads to war instead of giving or receiving money piecemeal. As for races and classes, some of the races shown in concept art for Archeage 1 that never made it into the game might make an appearance in Archeage 2. In the trailer, human and elf races were seen. In the trailer, we saw multiple potential classes, though we know nothing about what the class system might look like. Finally, they talked about wanting to make guild level trade important, but we don't know what that means yet, and that is all we currently know. Obviously, I have talked about Archeage 1 in past videos, and recently I went in depth on where they have failed with that game and where I think Ashes of Creation is trying to improve on those fail points. And the good thing is they seem to acknowledge many of the same fail points of Archeage 1, and they're willing to improve upon some of the fail points with Archeage 2. However, I would say my faith in Kakao not ruining the game with pay to win or some other terrible decisions along the way is not all that high. But to be fair, what we've seen so far is very positive. So I'll keep watching this one with tempered expectations due to the track record of Kakao. Thanks for watching to the end, and I'll see you guys in the next video.